This is Robert Mertolacci, the MindShare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. Happy Friday and welcome to this week in Canadian EdTech Unboxing edition with Jason Bedford, who is the VP of K-12 at Class for a MindShare Learning podcast on how teachers can enhance Zoom for teaching and learning. And teachers out there, you can qualify to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Stick with us for this conversation. Simply watch, follow, and class and retweet. Jason Bedford, thank you for joining me this afternoon.
Absolutely. So glad to be here, Robert. Thanks for having me.
And welcome back from South by Southwest EDU. I'm sure it was an awesome professional learning experience, no doubt.
Absolutely. Great thought leadership, amazing topics. Excited to always contribute and learn from so many others that are doing this important work.
Awesome. So a little bit about Jason Bedford. He's a lifelong learner and creative problem solver, applying leadership principles to positively affect transformation education. Again, he's the VP of K-12, and he's a former educator. Little bit about Class. Class adds teaching and learning tools to Zoom, something that many teachers have expressed were missing in the past, to support teachers with instruction, student engagement, and class management. They are designing technology solutions that allow leaders and teachers to progress recent innovation into learning models and tech tools while simplifying the user experience. Wow, that's a tall order, and it was a missing link, if you will, in the equation with the massive shift to online learning during the pandemic. I hope you and your family are healthy and well as we get to the endemic. We're optimistic.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I think it's so awesome to have the opportunity to share a little bit about class technologies and the work we've been doing and how we've been listening to teachers.
Right.
I'm kind of thankful that, I'm deeply thankful for teachers, how they brought voice to aspects that were missing, where their impediments were in their instruction. It wasn't just about a move to online teaching or virtual, but really about the pieces that they thought were deeply missing in their ability to build connection, to build community, plus really the tasks they try to do, their instructional models, and be able to execute those forward. So, we're an organization that has learned from teachers and been deeply responsive to that, and we're all about pushing the innovation envelope. Like, how innovative can we be to support teachers with their needs?
And what's fascinating to me is that as a startup, it's not your first rodeo. Your founder and CEO is a former co-founder of Blackboard, which had its roots in online learning. So deep understanding of the space. It's not your first rodeo, if you will. So that brings a different dimension. And you being the K-12 leader, as vice president, have a pedagogical background. And that is often, I've seen, missing with folks in your role. So kudos to you for that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I have the highest regard for teachers, for instructional coaches, across the board. The work we're doing is really about supporting each and every one of them and leaders as we think about the redesign possibilities. When we look to the future, the virtual components of learning in K-12 don't need to sit on the periphery. They can help us really redesign, whether we're redesigning to adjust for time and have a hybrid schedule. If we're looking to have more hybrid workforce and leverage teachers outside of our current brick and mortar spaces and physical locations. If we're really looking to redesign for equity, we need to change the way the system has marginalized students historically. And a platform like Class as a new lever to redesign. And so I love these conversations with leaders and getting about this work and realizing that we don't have to be within the parameters of 8 a.m. and 3 p.m. in the same brick and mortar spaces anymore. We can broaden our aperture and really do something different.
Absolutely, and this is a relatively new innovation and suite of tools that you offer at class.
It is. Class has been around for less than 18 months now. We took time to really innovate early on in the pandemic, gather all those experiences and feedback from teachers. Then Michael, with his technology leadership and business acumen, really spearheaded putting the right team together. And we've grown to about 250 employees now, and again, quickly moving the technology forward along with the mission and the work. And part of that is to demonstrably change the way the world learns, and synchronous and asynchronous, bring them together to honor the role of the teacher. That's where we're
And,
at.
and what's the response been like?
Robert, it's been exciting. I think when people see class for the first time, some folks realize like they hadn't reimagined what was possible before, and they're seeing things for the very first time, and having these ahas after ahas. And others who have been frustrated and wanting more have a sigh of relief, knowing that these capabilities of the more they wanted are now a reality. So it's been really rewarding.
Yeah, and here I see a couple of quotes here from educators because that is a testament to what you're all about. Synchronous and asynchronous feel really detached when teaching online. As a teacher, I can't have the instructional flow I'm comfortable with, and I feel like I lose students when I screen share content or put a link in the chat for them to go.
Hmm. Yeah, we have lots of testimonials on our website about the impact of the technology. But I think that quote you just read really speaks to the
Yeah,
challenge that so many of us faced when delivering online professional development or teaching students online throughout the pandemic. And that's the heart of the work we've been trying to solve for is not just that quote, but really understanding where the platform impediment of video conferencing lied uh, throughout past experiences, and creating possibilities. And so I'd love to share a little bit with your audience today how we've approached that work and some of the capabilities we have now.
that would be great. And so I've given you permissions to screen share. And it's interesting because when you reflect on the last couple of years, it was really crisis learning and sustaining learning in a lot of cases wasn't elegant. And you are bringing a whole different dimension. And I'm really looking forward to sharing with our audience some of the tool set, feature set that you've got in class that is layered essentially on top of Zoom.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to unbox this and
Yes.
take your
Drum
audience
roll,
through.
please.
Sure. And the last thing I'll say before I start the screen shares,
Right.
while I'm firing up the screen share here, is that really to honor the teacher and the importance of their role in facilitating instructional experiences and learning, we had to remove the design barriers. And leaders need to know that synchronous virtual experiences can be on par with in-person learning experiences. And I think what my hope is that as you see bits and pieces of class here, you'll get excited about moving from impediments to possibilities. I'm going to open this
Brilliant.
up a
There
little
you
bit
go.
bigger for everybody. Welcome to class. This is a redesign of video conferencing for teachers. There's three core areas I'd like to highlight for this audience today. And as we kind of start with those core things, the first is going to be layout. The second is going to be
Hmm.
relationship with content. And the third is going to be analytics and automation. So as you get a first look at class, the layout has changed. You'll notice that I'm up here in the teacher podium. I have a fixed position where I never get lost in the gallery and students don't have to wonder where I am.
Right.
We also introduced this idea of front of class. So this real estate, where you see my co-teachers of James Lloyd and Shauna Meyer, um, this is the idea of a fixed position in the front of class, and I can always change this. So if I wanted to have presenting students, here, the students that I've tagged to be presenting students will take their position in the front of class. We also have these additional cameras available to you. So if you have students with who need a sign language interpreter, or if you're doing some early literacy or phonetical awareness, you might pin this right underneath me. So I want students to see as I'm making the shape of the letter and I'm speaking it, they can understand that. Or if I'm doing a complex mathematical equation, I want students to see how that work happens. I can move all of those capabilities. So a couple other things on the layout that we've changed is the ability to have your sorts, where I came up here earlier. I might want to see students alphabetically by last name. I might want to see students by who has had the lowest level of participation for the day, to be able to call on them and bring them into the conversation. I might need to have a one-on-one conversation with a student while the class is going on and keep my video on, keep visibility into that, but have my audio only connect with that one learner. So all of these pieces around classroom management are there. And for learners, we pulled the hand raise button out. We made it much more visible. Their reactions can be public or private to the instructor, and they might need to slow down or go faster. Also the idea of chat is reorganized to really flow as a conversation would in a series of text messages. So in your layout, these ideas of podium in front of class and sorting and reactions and chat really started to bring the virtual classroom to life. And so I think that's the first big category. The second, where I mentioned relationship of content with content, we know that teachers want to use a variety of digital resources. We know that as I pop open my teaching tools here, you're going to see things like syllabuses, assignments, tests and quizzes, surveys, polling, whiteboards, ability to have web files and other collaborative documents here. So we want to make all those accessible. And these include your formatives like polls and quizzes, where you might do a fist for five or checks for understanding. So some pre and post really lightweight formatives, but also LTI interoperability, making sure that the learning management system can be synced inside of what's going on in your video conferencing platform. One of the things we've heard from teachers that is most important in this is the idea that all of this content, as you deploy it, so if I am sharing a web-based asset and, what's the difference between wetlands, marshes, and swamps? I'm sharing this web-based asset. It's opening as an iframe. I am not screen sharing as the teacher. This is opening for every student. So if they read a little bit slower or a little bit faster, they can move through all of this content at their own pace. It's opening in class. They don't ever have to leave class to navigate their content. If I was to share a video, I could launch that and learners could control the speed of play, or the instructor could. If you wanted to pause at a certain point and have and do a check for understanding or start a discussion, then you would want to control playback. And each of these tabs would be opening for the learner on their end. And then if you wanted to bring all the students back together, you close these tabs for them and everyone's brought back to the main room. And so it's both a classroom management strategy and an ease of use for the learner.
Amazing and so intuitive. And it's the elegance is in the simplicity and the layout kind of left to right. I'm used to, and we read left to right. I like that direction. And awesome.
Thank you for the feedback. Last feature here is really designed for the learners. And that is, if you go to school in person, you're taking notes with your pen and pencil, you're scribing in your notebook. In class, it's taking notes for you automatically. It's taking screenshots as documents are screen sharing happens or documents are deployed in class. It's grabbing a screen grab of that, adding to your notes, giving you full annotation capabilities as a learner, so you can be part of the confluence of learning and really be involved in the conversation. Or editing your notes. You don't have to worry about taking copious notes. They're all being taken for you with a robust text-to-speech engine. And we're just doing awesome things to really support the learner progress as well.
That's really powerful for students who want to go back and review notes um, and reinforce the learning, or kids that weren't in class for that matter.
Absolutely. And so that's the relationship with content. There's just a few, we've done a lot more, but I'm not going to take the deep dive today. The last category I wanted to highlight was this idea of analytics and automation. So in analytics and automation, we've automated some of the tasks that take teachers' time. So right now, if you had multiple students cross the gallery view, you'd have to take screenshots to come back and take attendance later. Well, we've automated attendance so that it's just being taken for you, and you know who's absent and who's here today. We're organizing students that way
Amazing.
and reporting it back to whatever system of record needs to see that. Additionally, like these in the moment insights. So these are students that are speaking. These googly eyes represent somebody being off task right now. Class is not their primary browser or app that's open. These are reactions. So your ability to get a feel for the class as it's happening and have these in the moment checks are really powerful. And so obviously gradebook integrations, roster management, all of the baseline capabilities. But here I love this is a reflection after you've delivered a lesson. Did you expect that your students were going to talk as much as you did? Wow, that really happened. Or my learner talk time matched my
Oh,
instructor talk
fascinating.
time. I can see how many chats, how many people asked for help. I can start getting a broader view and a deeper dive into some of the things that our teacher spidey sense picks up on.
Right.
We don't always know. And so classes checking in on hand raises. It's checking in on how many times you've given stars, how many times students have come off mic, how many times they've contributed to a conversation, when they ask for help. And so all of these, there's a dozen data points here that help us understand participation and how that contributes to the instructional core and builds the student engagement.
Amazing. I love how you've harnessed AI to really, you know, simplify things for the teachers and give them back time, because that's what they are time challenged, as we know.
That's 100%. Maybe a real quick example of why some of these features matter, how it comes together,
Hmm.
that might be helpful for the audience today. And so if I was teaching a lesson and wanted to introduce a station rotation model to support differentiation and collaboration in my classroom,
Hmm.
today I can't do it without class. But with class, I can, so without class, I might be able to introduce the standard, explain it, maybe lecture for a bit, and then have my students complete an assignment on their own, do some practice. It's a depth of knowledge level 1 without any possibilities for collaborative discussion, for discourse, or personalization. Or even worse, we've only been doing asynchronous assignments where students are feeling isolated with the content. In class, I might come over here and start with a quick survey. And if I'm teaching about biomes today, start with a quick survey, find out prior knowledge of biomes. Launch that quick survey to my class, and I know what a biome is, and I care about the environment, enjoy learning about things related to nature. I get that information back from my students, and I quickly move them into breakouts. And I organize my breakouts by interest and by level of knowledge. So I go and create a couple breakout rooms, and I open all rooms. So here I'll have some students working directly with me in the homeroom.
Right.
I don't lose visibility into my breakout rooms.
And this is really powerful for this was one of the complaints I heard a lot about with the breakout rooms, not knowing who's where. So this is a nice feature.
Yeah, because you now have visibility into all of them. Chat's been
Hmm.
reorganized along with everybody below. And so you can see what's going on
Brilliant.
with each group. But I might want to take my breakout room 1 and have a collaborative activity. So I'm just going to launch a Google Doc. That's a file, and I'm going to share it with them. This is all about biomes, and send it off to them. For group 2, I might want to have them really focus on knowledge building. These are people that answered the intro question and said, I don't know anything about biomes. And so then I'll just have a video and something for them. Group 3 might be working on defending or rebutting a challenge statement that I send to them, and produce a work product that's going to be shared with the class later. And I can push them as soon as I close breakouts to front of class to share their core findings. And group 4 is going to stay with me for some Q&A time and discussion. So when I end up, we spend 20 minutes in our breakout rooms. I close all of the rooms. I bring everybody back together, and I push my presenting group to the front of the class to share theirs. And then maybe for the whole class, I close out with a 3-question quiz. So I pick a quiz and assessment as a little summative and say, I want you guys to answer these 3 questions on things you learned about biomes before we wrap up for the day. As a little exit ticket. And just that flow are things we haven't been able to do before. And I'm super excited about the possibilities this presents for the future of learning.
Fascinating. And the ease of engagement, in having the students involved throughout the lesson is really important, because we've heard a lot of complaints from teachers about students not feeling like they're engaged because it wasn't as elegant as it is now with this tool set. So talk to me a little bit perhaps about a success story that you can share.
Oh, great question. Thank you for asking. So I think places where we saw immediate traction with class were virtual academies and virtual programs that had been stood up, where synchronous and asynchronous weren't working together, but they were trying to live together. I think those leaders and teachers had the immediate need for class. They saw it and they took off and ran. And after the first month or 2 of teaching, how they felt the sense of community rise, and how they felt deeper connection with their students and the things they were able to do, just keep us so excited about this work. I think on the other side of a success story, it's about leaders who are envisioning a different future. So now they have a new pillar in how they're able to think about their organizational structures moving forward. Without this, there was a lot of confines placed on them before. And with class, they're able to see new possibilities on recruitment and retention, on impacts to budget, on the hybrid workforce, hybrid learning, like the different environments, master schedules. It gives them new flexibility in how they're able to architect their desires to serve their communities.
Fascinating. Now you launched in the U.S. market, and now we're based in Canada. You've got a Canadian site as well for educators to go to learn more and get themselves a demo. Perhaps you can share a little bit about your attention that you're paying to the Canadian market now.
Yeah, so as a newer company coming to Canada, we've just started entering and supporting Canadian schools and school boards over the past 4 or 6 months. Really appreciate this partnership, because we're learning more and more about how to be great stewards of the technology in Canada. The website for us is, if any of your viewers want to check out www.class.com/K12/Canada, that's where that's where Robert is now. You'll be able to request a demo and learn more. But we have existing partnerships with school boards in Canada, and as we see provincial legislation changing and some other opportunities, we're really looking forward to being not just a solution provider, but a partner in this work.
Jason Bedford, thank you so much for your time this afternoon on a Friday at that.
You got it. Love being here. Thank you for having me.
Well, pleasure hosting you today. That was Jason Bedford, the K-12 Vice President at Class, on their unboxing of Class for Zoom and educators integrating in the classroom, both online and hybrid, and the emerging models that we see today. Exciting times ahead. Thank you again. My name is Robert Martellacci of the MindShare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.